Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask robtrek, where I try to answer your questions from the comment sections of my videos. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them down in the comments below and I'll do my best to answer them. All right, the first question here is from Lisa Wong, and she says, I have trouble keeping my custom focus points preference in my custom menu. The custom focus points do not come up again when I turn my custom menu from, say, C1 to C2. Is there any way to go around this? Now, generally speaking, whenever you save your settings, including custom focus points to C1 and C2, they should be there every time you go back and dial in C1 or C2 on your mode dial. Now, there are some operational workflows that might make it appear that your custom settings have changed when you're in C1. And there's also a setting in the camera that will overwrite your custom settings if you make any changes while you're in the C1 and C2 mode. So we need to make sure that our workflow, when we save the custom mode or custom autofocus settings, and also when we're using the camera, is consistent. And then also we need to make sure that one setting is set to reset, and I'll show you that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to save different custom focus points to C1 and C2. So let's go into the menu. And you can see that my C1 through 4 are empty right now. So we'll go over to the AF menu, and then we're going to roll over to AF target mode settings. Click OK. And we're going to go down to C1. And I've already set up C1 to be a horizontal, C2 to 4 vertical, C3 as a skinny vertical, C4 is a skinny horizontal. We're going to use C1 and C2. And don't confuse the C1, C2, 3, 4 in the AF target mode settings with the custom mode settings on the mode dial. There's no relationship there. They just happen to use the same acronym, C1, 2, 3, 4. But also make sure that they're checked. So you have the little checkbox next to each one. And then, so we're at f1.8, that's fine. Let's go ahead and change our focus point here in the menu or in the control panel to C1. And I'm going to click OK just to confirm I got a horizontal. And then we can just go into the menu, custom mode, go to C1, assign, and set. And now you can see C1 is set. Now let's do another custom mode. Let's do shutter priority this time and set up something, say, I don't know, 1/2000th of a second. And then we're going to change our autofocus point to C2. And I'll just confirm I have my vertical. And then I can go into custom mode, C2, assign, and set. All right. So even if I change the focus point to something else while I'm in shutter priority, if I change this to C1, I should be back in aperture priority with custom target point 1. And I'll confirm that I'm in aperture priority, custom target point 1. And if I go to C2, I should be in shutter priority, as you can see, SC2 with custom target point 2. And if I go back to C1, it goes right back to C1. So these should be saved. However, while you're in C1, right, if I happen to change the focus point while I'm in C1, now you can see that it's changed, right? We're in C1, but we're using a small focus point. But if I go out anywhere to any other mode on the camera and come back to C1, if I go back, it should reset back to the original custom mode or custom target point that we saved, which was the horizontal. All right, let me show you one other variation that might be confusing, might not, but let's go ahead and put the camera into manual mode. And I have it set to 1/2000th. Let's just bump that to 1/4000th f4. And we'll go into the super control panel And I'm going to change this to C1 so that I have my horizontal again. And we're going to save that to custom mode number 3. Like so. So now, when I go to C1, just double check, A1, custom point 1. Okay, S, C2. So we're in custom mode 2 using custom point C2. And C3 that we just saved, you can see we're in manual, but we're using custom point 1. So that's what I meant earlier by the acronym C1 for the custom focus points is independent of the actual position of the mode dial. Now there could be one other thing messing up your custom settings and custom focus points, and that is when you go into the menu, go into custom mode, you want to make sure that the save settings line item here is set to reset, because you have two choices, hold and reset. When you have it set to reset, every time I go into a mode dial and change back and forth, whatever mode I go into, it's going to recall the original settings I saved. So that, again, even if I change this to, say, a small point, if I go out and come back in, it's going to recall the C1. However, if I go into C1 and have the save settings to hold, what it's going to do now is anytime I have my mode dial in C1 and I make any changes to the focus point, it's going to save that new setting into C1 because I'm in C1. So if I go out to C2, right, I'm using custom point 2, but if I go back into C1, look what happened. It saved the last change that I made. So you have to be a little bit careful. This is good for when you're trying to tweak and find settings that work best and save them. But generally speaking, I don't recommend you use this save settings hold. I always have this set to reset, which is not to be confused with assign and reset, because this will erase your custom setting. So for example, if I wanted to go to C3 and get rid of that setting, I go to set, reset, and now if I go back out, you can see C3 is empty. And you have to do this for every single custom mode setting. So go in and check and make sure all of these are set for reset. All right, so I hope that made sense. If not, again, feel free to leave questions down in the comments below and I'll try and clarify. But that's all I have for today. I appreciate you watching. And for all of you, if you found this video helpful, consider buying me a coffee or making a small donation. The links below there are greatly appreciated and they help me to continue making videos like this for you. But as always, thank you for watching and I hope to see you again soon.